Welcome to the Enlightened Misfits podcast, the space for entrepreneurs on a quest for unwavering certainty and purpose. I'm your host, Lauren, and each episode is a compass guiding you through authentic conversations, unraveling the mysteries of your human design chart, and offering tools from the remarkable guest. Join me as we embark on a journey to manifest greatness and create a life aligned with our deepest purpose. This is the space where misfits find their enlightenment. Welcome to the Enlightened Misfits podcast. Welcome back to the Misfits podcast. I am your host, Lauren. In today's episode, I have Dan. Welcome, Dan. So happy to have you here with us this morning.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Of course. So kind of tell us a little bit about who you are, a little bit about, your background, and we'll get into some of the questions I have for you.
Yeah, so my name's Dan, as everybody can see here. I don't know, I like to think I'm not huge on titles and that sort of thing, but I think one thing to say is I'm a serial entrepreneur. Had some life experiences early on. I don't know, like near death experiences, to be candid, where we went whitewater rafting, got stuck under a boat, these types of things, and then that changes your perspective on things. So for me, I didn't want to necessarily be tied down to a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, every day for 30 or 40 years and then die. I want to actually build a life that I'm proud of, that I don't need to take a vacation from, and I want to help others do the same. Right. I don't want to necessarily say that it's bad if anybody has a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I think that's good. I think everybody needs their lane and what they're passionate about. My whole thing is I just want to help others realize their full potential. And what I have found is there are so many of these gurus or leadership experts or whatever you want to say. It's almost like, hey, come listen to me because I got the goods, whatever that means. I just want to be like a sidekick and high five people and be people's biggest cheerleader for whatever they want to accomplish. And that's the community that we kind of started to create with Hope Lives. It's like these people who have been through life, maybe been kicked in the teeth, bounce back, want to help other people do the same. That's kind of who I am, who I surround myself with, what we're passionate about doing. Excuse me. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, no, that does. Yeah. So you said there's a couple things that you said, because I want you to talk a little bit about more your community, Hope Lives. And I have to say, people that are watching this on YouTube, I love Cookie Monster, and I see Cookie Monster behind you.
Yep.
I was going to say I got Cookie Monster when I was probably, I don't know, my parents must have bought it for me when I was a kid. And it was like my comfort, and not comfort animal, but like my comfort, some people have like blankets, or mine was Cookie Monster. So I was like, oh, well, I love Cookie Monster. So I bought my daughter one. And to this day, she's 5. She still sleeps with Cookie Monster. It's so cute.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's okay if I interject a little bit of what I feel is a funny story. So I do a lot of work with nonprofits and in some cases with children, even via Zoom and that sort of thing, interacting and kind of bringing people together.
Yeah.
And we did a special night with this nonprofit where we work with kids, and we called it Stuffy Night. So every kid there was able to bring their favorite stuffed animal or whatever and got to show the camera, and it was a lot of fun. And we did that at 8:30 right before bedtime. We read a bedtime story and that sort of thing. And the next morning, and so I should say that night, not only did I have Cookie Monster, I have Brutus the Buckeye behind me, I got little Superman things. But that night I had like a mountain of stuffed animals. I took all my children's stuffed animals and made a big mountain. And so there's all these things, and then shut the computer, kind of forgot about it. And the next morning I was doing some consulting work with special forces military here out of the US who were transitioning out of the military into civilian life.
Okay.
And I put on my camera and they're all there, and you could have just saw like everybody giving me a blank stare of like, why are there a bunch of stuffed animals? Isn't this like an important business meeting? And we had to be very structured. And I'll never forget, it's the special forces military, the men and women that were on there, who, could kill me 5 different ways with their pinky, and they're trained to do all these special
Yeah,
things. They were like, always keep the stuffed animals behind you. We love it. I think they thought it was great. So it was
yeah,
because of our special forces, I always make sure I have stuffed
yeah.
animals behind me whenever we're on a Zoom call.
Yeah. I feel like that's, I mean, because to be honest, all of us are still kids, just we're adults now and like, these adult bodies. And I feel like that's like a way they probably felt safe, you know. People probably, there's other people in my like, oh, he has all these stuffed animals. What is he doing in his spare time? That type of thing. But yeah, but no.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Cookie Monster. It's just a reminder of your childhood. I mean, regardless if it was good, bad, whatever. I feel like there's always some tie to Cookie Monster for me was like comfort, safe. So I just
Yeah.
had to put that out that people, anybody that was or watching on YouTube, because there's people that will watch this on YouTube. So I love that.
Great. Hi,
So
YouTube.
going back to what you said, your near-death experience, would you kind of explain? You don't, if you don't want to talk about your near-death experience, you don't have to. But can you kind of explain the things that you've learned from it, or like your perspective? You said that your perspective shifted after that. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, there was probably about a 2 or 3 week period that was just in the grand scheme of life,
Mhm.
crazy for me, and then kind of crazy for the world. Um, because I on my 18th birthday, we went whitewater rafting. And I'd never been whitewater rafting before, and the group of people that I went with had never been whitewater rafting before. And this is before everybody had a cell phone where you can scroll or doom scroll through the TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
So we actually had to pay attention to the instruction before we got in the raft. It's like, and they were just letting us know, like, there's this is serious, right? And we
Yeah.
were kind of on a beginner course anyways, but it was like, this is serious. We had helmets on, we have life preservers on.
Uh-huh.
And one of the things I took from it, and I just remember very vividly, it's like, if you get thrown out of the raft in the middle of a rapid, don't try to stand up and don't try to swim. What they tell you to do is lay back, put your feet up, right? Kind of get your head up and let the rapid take you out so your foot doesn't get stuck or something worse could happen. Just kind of ride the rapid till it's over. So we went whitewater rafting in a week or two before. We just had like a lot of rain, more than we're used to. And so the river levels were high, the rapids were kind of running a little faster. And we went up on one of the first rapids of the day. And really long story shorter, I'll try to keep it a little shorter, is what they wanted to do is they wanted to send, there was 7 or 8 rafts one at a time, and then when the raft got through the entirety of the rapid, they would send the next one because they didn't want anything bad to happen.
Right.
Well, that was the intention. That's not quite what happened. So what happened was the first rapid, the first part of that rapid was like, there was this huge rock in the middle of the river. So what we wanted to do is go right at that rock, bounce off of that rock. It would spin the raft around and you would ride the rapid down. Well, what
Okay.
happened is, instead of letting somebody hit the rock, bounce off, ride through the rapid, when someone hit that rock, the instructor sent the next raft. And so what happened was, when someone bounced off, there was already another raft behind it, and we just had collision after collision. I was one of the collisions. And so what happened was, it threw me out of the raft, and I'm riding the rapid. I remember my training because I wasn't doom scrolling, right? Um, and so I wish I kind of had a GoPro now so I could at least like do the selfie thing as
Yeah.
we were going down,
To record
but they
it.
didn't exist. So I'm doing what the instructions tell me. Got my feet up, kind of head up, riding the rapid, and I'm like taking in a bunch of water, going underwater, coming up, going under, coming up, going under, and then I couldn't come up. And what happened was, one of the rafts, it just happened to be the raft I was in, bounced off and then landed right on top of me.
Mm.
And so in the moment or two, luckily I had enough sense to feel like, okay, I can't get up. What's going on? It was really scary. And I found the end of the one of the ends of the raft where there's a rope. I held onto the rope and kind of pulled myself a little up. And then everybody else in the raft grabbed me, yanked me out of the raft, guzzled through a bunch of water, grabbed my paddle, and we got through the rapid. It was it felt like 5 years. It's like it was when you talk about perspective change, when people are like, I saw everything happen. It's like
Yeah.
it could happen in a flash. Like every stereotype you hear from a show, a TV, the TV, a movie, a book, or anybody else talking, it's like, yeah, that's real. And like you can kind of see that stuff, and it felt like forever in that moment. When it had to be like 10 seconds, right? But it just felt long.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we got through the rapid, and I just remember just kind of collapsing because all the adrenaline was kind of rushing out, and it was insane. So we kind of got through that. It wasn't the most fun. And then ironically the next day we freaking go spelunking, um, which I didn't even know what that was. It's cave diving. And we're walking through like this cave, and they're like, don't, I'm 18, right? So to be old and wise, sometimes you got to be young and dumb. So
Yeah.
I'm young and dumb,
Yeah.
right? I just get stuck under a raft the day before. We're down in this cave, and they're like, don't horse around because if you slip or you do something stupid, it could take hours, if not days, for people to come and get you out and get you to the hospital. Just don't be stupid. Well, we're
Yeah.
like crossing between one rock crater to another, and my foot gets stuck. And like in that moment, I could just feel all my adrenaline rushing through again. Like, what am I doing? Like, this is terrible. They're gonna have to cut my foot off to get out of here, right? And then luckily, like my buddy hit me upside the head. He's like, just take your shoe off. Oh, so I did that. But in that moment, it was really scary. 5 seconds later, we're through the thing, and then we finished that trip and got stories to tell, and obviously still telling stories from that day.
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks later, the terrorist attacks on the Twin Towers in New York City happened, 9/11.
Yeah.
And so between a near death experience and then having watching tragedy unfold right
Right.
before your eyes, and all the unknowns, all the planes coming down, the families that were affected,
Yeah.
everything changed on that day. What it
Yeah.
really allowed me to do is go, okay, even if I chose that 9 to 5, Monday through Friday kind of a thing, do I really need to engage in all the conversations around the water cooler? Am I really going to get upset about if I get stuck in Excel and the formula is not doing right? Is that really going to ruin my day? No,
Yeah.
right? It just what it did is I think it gave me a perspective to be more curious in life,
Yeah.
to ask more questions, to get around people who were trying to accomplish something, not just people who were trying to get by, but people who would actually thrive, and being willing to take risks, right? Um, I think that's how it's kind of shaped me and changed me, and kind of I think I'll just leave it at that for now because then I can go off for another 30 minutes. I'm a
No,
little
it's
bit of a
okay.
talker.
I was gonna say, yeah, there's a lot. So mainly there's, well, I mean, there's a lot of people that listen to this podcast, but mainly a lot of the things that you said, I wanted to touch on and kind of like explain a little bit more because you are a serial entrepreneur. This is kind of like my first, I guess it's been 5 years now that I left my 9 to 5. After my own near death experiences, it kind of shifted as like, wow, this life is so short. And do I really want to, you know, be in this career that I hate, that I loved getting in, helping people? That was I just love to help people, And then I realized one day I woke up and I was like, I hate what I do. I hate my job. I hate my life. I hate myself, all this stuff. Like, is this really this is not life. Like, it just doesn't feel like it is, right? There has to be something more. And I just feel like from the perspective of entrepreneur, you have to be willing to take risks. And obviously at 18, you were very willing to do a lot of risky things. So that kind of mirrored probably how amazing of an entrepreneur you are because of that. And my question is, Can you kind of talk a little bit about to that entrepreneur that feels like it's too risky or it's not working for them? You know, like can you kind of help them change that mindset of that is what entrepreneurship is? It's very high risk. Hey there, I just wanted to take a quick moment to share with all of you spiritual rebels and fempreneurs. If you've been craving a space where you can build wealth, heal trauma, and rise alongside like-minded women, I got something for you to hear about. I'm excited to invite you into the Enlightened Misfits Sisterhood. This is a low-cost, high-impact group membership designed exclusively for spiritual fempreneurs who know they need accountability and support to create sustainable wealth, but aren't ready to dive into a one-on-one mentorship. In this membership, you'll get monthly calls, rituals, healing sessions, and workshops to break through your self-doubt and build confidence so that you can consistently sell your offers and make money. This is also a collaborative private Facebook community where you make lifelong connections with other women who are just as serious as hitting their goals. And my personal guidance as your intuitive human design business guide and trauma healer, ensuring you stay aligned and on track with your business goals. Plus, you'll get free access to all my paid workshops and masterclasses, along with exclusive VIP pricing for my one-on-one Voxer membership. This membership is all about helping you heal the sabotaging behaviors blocking your abundance and using your human design to create a business that feels amazing to run. Imagine waking up excited to serve your clients and knowing that you have the exact support you need to hit every single one of your business goals every single month. So if you're ready to rise and build wealth with a sisterhood of spiritual misfits, make sure you click the registration link in the description box. Right now, the investment is just $88 a month, but the price will increase to $197 a month. Join today to unlock exclusive rates and get access to next month's kickoff call. Let's get back to today's episode, but remember, your next level is just one decision away. Join the sisterhood and let's rise together.
Yeah, I mean, it's high risk. It could be high reward, right? I mean, that's the beauty of it. I think if there's someone out there who has that itch, right?
Yeah.
I would say it's more risky to dabble, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think it's either go for it or don't. Doesn't mean you need to leave your job. It doesn't mean you need to like leave your family or just shut everything down and just focus on this one thing. But I think being committed come hell or high water is very important. And it's a mindset more than anything else, which
Right.
can be difficult. And so I think to the entrepreneur who's kind of evaluating that, I think there's a couple things. Obviously be committed, right?
Right.
But purposely try to be around people who see something in you that you can't see in yourself. Some people call them a mentor, some people call them a coach, maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a best friend, someone who's going to encourage you, because if you're committed, not every day is fun. Not every little thing that you do is great, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a tough day, and sometimes we can get in our own heads and we can spiral out of control, right?
Yeah.
I think one of the things I wish I knew in my early 20s that I've learned in my early 40s is the person that's looking back at me in the mirror is my toughest critic.
Right.
And it's easy to go down that road. Get yourself into a community, get yourself a coach who can see those things in you that you're doing that you're probably not giving yourself credit for. That's going to be important. Not everybody has a board. Not everybody has all these C-level executives to kind of high five you, especially if you're a solopreneur or you're a small business, right? One of the loneliest places in the world is the CEO of a startup, the CEO of a small business, the
Yeah.
CEO of being your own boss, because you
Yeah.
know everything. You know the money you're spending, the money you're bringing in or lack thereof, or all of that stuff. It's
Yeah.
important to get around people who are going to be supporting your dreams. And sometimes, not all the time, sometimes what I have found is sometimes people with the same last name as you may be your toughest critics as well. They may not be the most encouraging. It's
Yeah.
because not that they don't want you to succeed, they really want you to succeed. It's that
Yeah.
you've chosen a life that a lot of people don't understand.
Right.
And that's okay. More than likely, they're probably trying to protect you, right? And they're trying to love you in the best way that they know how. Give them grace, right?
Yeah.
So I think those are a few things kind of off the top of my head that I would it's get out of your own way, be
Yeah.
purpose driven, and get around people who think like you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing advice. I was gonna say, yeah, my family thought I was crazy, like, leaving my very successful, I made six figures doing high risk OB. Had a couple jobs, like I did, I had did very well for myself. Was a single mom, could take care of, everything. But I just deep down, I just hated my life. I hated, everything. And when I talked to my mom about it, she didn't understand. Why are you leaving that 9 to 5? Mine was more like 8 to 8, but like
Yeah.
that 9 to 5 job that you love, that you went to 4 years of college and you just worked so hard. And it was like at the moment that I was like, nobody will understand. And then I was talking to a friend and I was like, I'm going to open up my own business. I think I'm going to do an online business. And she was like, you should do it. It was just something, there was just some burning desire in my heart that I needed to do it. And it was like, that was what fueled me. It wasn't what I wanted to, like it wasn't my old job anymore. Now, granted, I did start when I still was at my 9 to 5 job. But then, that really dramatic near death experience happened that I just was like, I'm not going back. And it was like, I was like, the universe, you got to figure something out. You're telling me I need to do this, right? So I found myself a mentor, went through a couple mentors, learned a lot of lessons. And then I was like, wow, so I don't really, I mean, I do believe that everybody needs a mentor, but I feel like I was leaning towards holding on to I want to be like them versus being like myself. You know what I mean? Or like having that community around me that would lift me up instead of I know to this day people are like the people that thought I was crazy that they're now watching like wow, she did it. She's doing exactly what she said she was going to be doing. Even to this day,
Mm-hmm.
like a podcast, I've always said ever since I was little, I'm going to be on TV or I'm going to have a podcast or something, and it happened, So it was like people are like, wow, next she's going to be on TV. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll be. I don't know what I'm talking about, but maybe I'll have a TV show. Who knows? But it's just, it makes me. I like to get up every morning to do what I do. I before I didn't, and I feel like that. A couple of my clients are like, I want to burn my business down. I can't do this, that. And I'm like, I always have to take them back to, well, why did you start? And it's more of like, okay, it's them getting, like you said, getting in their own way, getting, maybe listening to other people, or maybe their spouse is not supportive. You know, most, I should say, men are like, you're not bringing in money, or this is not making money. My husband said the same thing. He's like, I don't think he understood in the beginning what entrepreneurship was. I know how much money I bring in, or like you said, lack thereof. I also know that too. So it's like hearing that from somebody else, it feels like, I was failing. And it's more of like, that's just the ebbs and flows of entrepreneurship. Or am I not doing something? Like, I know what I'm not doing. Do I need to do less of that? You know what I mean? That type of stuff. So, yeah, that definitely resonates in all areas of my life.
Well, you said something there, and is it okay if I just jump in real quick and
Yeah,
respond a couple of things? First and foremost, just hearing the snippets of your story. Obviously, I don't know all the details, like
yeah,
who
yeah,
does,
yeah,
anyways.
yeah,
As long as I've been around in either coaching or supporting other entrepreneurs or small business owners,
yeah,
I never take for granted hearing their stories of resilience and
yeah,
overcoming.
yeah,
And I think that is so important because you're right. Not everybody has a supportive spouse.
right,
Sometimes people's environment is terrible, which is what you got to get out of that. A healthy environment is important, which is why you need to find a community, whether it's hope, whether it's, your local, I don't know, if you like playing Dungeons and Dragons, the board game, go find that and be around those people, whatever
yeah,
kind of resets you.
yeah,
that's important. And the other thing I think you said, I think is important for people to grasp, you got to be yourself.
Right.
You got to be able to say, okay, here are principles. Like behind me, you'll see some like John Maxwell, certified John Maxwell, behavior analyst. These what it, they're
Yeah.
just titles that don't mean anything. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, like cool, you check the box, right? But I have stuffed animals behind me, and what business class or people wearing a suit and tie every day are they going to find that acceptable? I worked for a law firm for a while. They're like, you can't have stuffed animals. That didn't last very long for me because I like to have human being conversations. And so
Right.
the beauty about entrepreneurship is you're qualified automatically.
Yeah.
You are qualified. Okay. And it's the entrepreneur, in my opinion, especially here in the United States.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you're left leaning, you're right leaning, politics, they've been fighting over the Senate since the Roman Empire, right? Like, we're not going to figure that out in our lifetime. This is thousands of years, but it's entrepreneurs that are going to save the world, in my opinion. That's why I'm
Yeah.
so passionate about it. But
Yeah.
Picasso said something very interesting, and I say this a lot to our community, to my clients. It's learn the rules. John Maxwell with his leadership principles he has time tested, tried and true principles, but I got to be able to put my spin on it, right?
Yeah.
So learn the rules, but then break them like an artist, and that's the beauty in all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you talked a little bit about John Maxwell, which I love him. I think when I was early on I feel like I've been in networking, marketing, ever since I was like 14. They always have us read, or I was going to say every MLN company, whatever I was in, always like you have to read John Maxwell's book because it's real. Like, I mean, it's true. Like, he does have a lot of really good rules or points. So can you kind of talk to us a little bit about like what a behavioral analyst trainer is?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, and I think what I focus on is helping people get out of their own way.
Okay.
As cheesy as that is, I'm sure there's somebody with an alphabet behind their name that's going to be able to answer that question a lot more detailed than I can or I will. But it's really letting people get out of their own way, that sometimes in a job or even in, when we have people working on our team, it's sometimes, I'll just give an example more than a definition, is sometimes
Yeah.
people are just have the blinders on, so to speak. It's
Yeah.
like whatever task they're doing or whatever job they have, that's what they know. And they think it's the most important thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay to be passionate about what you do and wanting to do it well and making sure people are giving you the information that you need to be able to do your job well.
Mhm.
However, if we're looking at a company, if we're looking at any business, it's more clockwork. There's all these little parts that need to work at the same time in sync to be able to have that clock function. And although you're good at this one thing and you are locked in and you are focused and you are awesome at that one thing, there's other people around and there's other people involved, and being aware of that. And this is where John Maxwell is really good. He actually wrote a book called Winning with People, where you got to be able to win with people, and you have to be able to think outside yourself. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, and that's where I come in to help. It's like removing those blinders, still be laser focused because what you're doing is helping the whole, but you got to be able to work with other people. Not everybody thinks like you. Not everybody processes information like you. Stop trying to text or email all your communication, because what you're writing may not be how the person's reading it and they're taking it the wrong way,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes a 30-second phone call can go a long way. Yes, pick up your phone in this day and age. Talk to somebody, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um, it's that sort of thing that we work on. So it's what's the behavior? How did we get here? how does that interact with everybody else? But how do we get everybody to start working in unity? And it's a very difficult thing to do. And it's not something that you master. I think people who've been around it or have been in it, it is something on a daily basis. So
Yeah.
right now, I'm talking to you. This is the first time you and I have talked for longer than 7 minutes, right? I'm enjoying this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're enjoying this conversation. We're
Yeah.
talking about, John Maxwell and encouraging each other and like taking a risk being an entrepreneur. I'm feeling great. But if I walk out of my office and my 12-year-old son's doing something stupid, right? That's going to change my mindset. And I'm going to be laser focused and go into dad mode and go, why are we doing something stupid? And that could
Yeah.
change the whole trajectory of my day.
Yeah.
A behavior analyst going, okay, this is the box that I'm in right now. You and
Yeah.
I on the podcast, millions of people across YouTube. I have no idea, right? Right. It's open to the World Wide
Yeah.
Web,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But when I'm done with this, it's think outside the box. Well, it just means I'm in another box, right?
Right.
Now I'm going to dad mode or whatever that is. And just being aware of that and knowing that, yeah, I could talk about John Maxwell principles all day long. My kid doesn't care. He cares that I'm
Right.
dad, right? It's
Right.
it's it's realizing that and tying that all together and knowing it's just this constant awareness, no matter whether you're at the office, whether you're with your family, whether you're with your friends, at a ball game, at a movie theater. I don't know. It's just
Right.
how you interact with everything.
Yeah. I was going to say, I like the way that you say that too, because I feel like a lot of times, entrepreneurs, obviously they have more than likely, they either have a job, not 9 to 5 job, or they're a mom or a dad, or, they're doing this, they're doing that. Same thing with my like 5-year-old daughter. Like I tell her, I have clients, I have a podcast. She doesn't care. She doesn't, she's like, okay. I'm like, let's go, put your shoes on. She just is like, she just, well, in her perspective, she tells her friends that mommy sits in front of a computer and talks to people, which I guess in a way that is true. And my mommy
Awesome.
has a microphone. And I'm like, okay, that's very true. So it's funny because her friends will say, that's what she says. She says, my mommy just talks to people through the computer. So who knows what people think I do. But anyway, so yeah, you're right. Like, you could be doing one thing and then the next moment you're doing something completely different, which I always think of entrepreneurship as like a really expensive mindset, like, training or, really expensive just hobby that you're constantly working on your mindset. Cause I feel like the same thing with MLNs when I was like, this is more like mindset than the actual product. It was more of like training your mind or your mindset versus, so it's more of like focusing on like self-development. So really expensive self-development. I'm like, so I could so do this for the rest of my life. To be a better human every day, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, can you just kind of leave the audience with maybe just a few, like a nugget of wisdom or maybe some advice if they are, inspiring to be an entrepreneur or a serial entrepreneur, of if they get in their head or if maybe they're in their way right now, kind of like what you would say to them?
I would say a few things, and I'll try to be quick with a couple things. Is because
Okay.
we've addressed it. It's your qualifying. Whatever your idea is, how crazy it is, it's Steve Jobs said it best, is that the crazy ones are going to save the world, right?
Yeah.
Like all good. Go
Yeah.
just go for it. And way before someone had an opinion, you have a purpose. And stick and be committed to that purpose, right?
Yeah.
The method's going to change, right? 20 years ago, no one's on the TikTok, right? So
Yeah.
the method's going to change, and that's okay, but the principles stay the same, right? Because feelings are indicators more than anything, and they're important, right? I don't want to dismiss feelings, but they're indicators. But the reality is sometimes our feelings lie to us.
Right.
So what's the principle? Because behind every principle, there's a promise. Just know that. If you're kind of like, I don't know, maybe I should quit, maybe I should do whatever it is, right? What's the principle? What's the purpose? And don't worry about my opinion, your spouse's opinion so much, or your parent, or family, or friend. It doesn't matter. What's your purpose? And be centered in on that. Because when you start living your purpose, people will support you because they have to, right? Because you're passionate about your purpose. So you have a purpose. Get out of your feelings a little bit. Sometimes they're just indicators. Focus on the principle, right? The other thing I would say is make sure you're part of some sort of community that helps you reset from time to time, that gives you that recharge so you can relaunch into whatever you're doing. The world needs whatever you have, however you present it. I don't care if there's 9 million life coaches talking about winning with people, right?
Right.
Your spin on it, the way you break those rules like an artist, somebody needs. Go for it. Right. That's that. And then the last thing I'll say is whatever you're doing, wherever you're at, I don't care if you're at the dinner table with your family. I don't care if you're in this client meeting. I don't care if you're doing the books late at night or whatever it is. Be present. Be present. Put on the do not disturb, especially if you have family or loved ones you're trying to spend time with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put on the do not disturb. Those emails are going to wait. They're going to be there. Someone's always going to need something, and there's a time and there's a place for that, right? But I think a long time ago, or people have been saying for a long time, is time is the only non-renewable resource. Time comes and goes, and time, you can't get that back. And that's true, but in a day where it's so easy to look at my watch and scroll through some stuff, or look at my phone and scroll through, I believe now more than ever, attention matters. Where it's not hard to be at the dinner table with my kids and think about the invoice that I need to collect the money on or send out so we can put food on the table, right?
Yeah.
As best as you can, just be present. And what you'll find is those people who don't get it will understand, because I think it was Maya Angelou who said, like, people will forget what you know or what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And the fact that you can be present with somebody without doom scrolling through your phone, the fact that you can look somebody in the eye, right, and have a conversation, now more than ever, that'll get you further, especially as an entrepreneur, than a lot of other people, because everybody else is distracted.
Yes.
Those are a few pieces of advice I would give.
Yeah, I love that. Especially, I was going to say, I am really, anybody, all my clients or anybody in my membership will tell you that. I mean, granted, there is some, if you're driving or if you're sick or if it's like energetically wise, like you just can't take any more energy. I'm like, put your camera on. I want to see your face, because normally you put your camera off because you don't want them to see what they're doing. So I usually say everybody needs to put their camera on, because it would be like, I just feel weird too when I'm on calls that if I don't have my camera on, I just feel like that piece of just your face and I can see an actual face versus everybody's just still picture. I'm like, I don't know. I'm talking to anybody. I don't even know if anybody's listening. Yeah. So that's definitely, I do love those nuggets of wisdom. Well, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode with Dan on the Enlightened Misfits podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and then share this episode with anybody that you feel that would gain knowledge from listening. Make sure you check out his links in the description box here on YouTube if you're watching it, or over on any large social media platform that you are listening to this. Stay tuned for more captivating conversations in the future. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you next week.
Thank you for joining us on another enlightening episode on the Enlightened Misfits podcast. If you are a current or inspiring to be fempreneur, suffering from the fear of being seen and or feel very triggered when you're building your business, reach out to me at the Mermaid Light about my Rich and Resilient Biz Baddies. This is a collective text message Voxer support group designed to help you heal your triggers and turn imposter syndrome into bad bitch energy. If you resonate with our conversations and insight, don't forget to subscribe, rate the show, and leave a review. Your feedback fuels our mission. Remember, your journey to unwavering certainty and purpose is ongoing. So please make sure you stay connected with us on social media. Keep manifesting greatness in your life. Until next time, this is Lauren from the Enlightened Misfits podcast. Stay enlightened, stay inspired, and keep manifesting your extraordinary path.